Hi everyone, my name is Kevin Breeze, and this is
Shawn CPA.
We've got a really exciting topic for today's video. Essentially, we're going to be discussing whether you should go for a job or occupation that pays less, but you enjoy it more, or if you should go for something that pays more, but you don't really enjoy it. And I feel like we've both had experiences on both sides of that. So I think we have a lot of value to discuss in this video. So what's your takeaway in general? And for the sake of this video, let's say the lower end of the pay would be a job that pays $50K a year, and then the higher end would be a job that pays $100K a year.
Yeah. So I would say I have to preface it with you do need a certain amount of money to be comfortable, pay your bills, feed your kids if that applies to you, pay your mortgage, all that stuff. So with that, let's assume on the $50K you can do that. Maybe it's a little tight, but you can do that. I would say definitely making less money, but enjoying my job and being happier more than making just a lot of money, but not enjoying my job. Just because I've had the experiences where I'm working an awful job that it does pay well, the great benefits, all that stuff, respect and recognition, clout, whatever you want to say, for like a major company. And it just doesn't make up for the fact that your life is absorbed in this job. Like you're in this office all the time because most well-paying jobs, first of all, just require that. But you're just doing something like every day you're kind of dreading what you're doing. You're kind of dreading the job, but like, your bank account might look nice and your benefits are great, but I just can't do that.
And it's not sustainable. So I think the best example, and I feel like we've both saw these job listings, and I even followed through on one and took the job. But, especially for fresh college graduates, there's a lot of sales jobs, especially where they'll say, if you're willing to put the work in, you can make $150K a year. And a lot of people, I don't want to say fall victim to it because they chose to do it and they can quit whenever they want.
Not a scam.
So it's not really like, obviously if there's any job where you have to put money up front yourself, then that's a scam. But that typically doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But for the sake of saving yourself some time, or maybe you do want to figure it out, learn the hard way. But a lot of these sales jobs, they will advertise that, you can make a ton of money if you work really hard at it. And of course, that principle applies to pretty much anything that you do in life. And when you're young and a fresh graduate, you're going to be ambitious, just like we both were.
Yeah.
But my first job, it was basically the situation that I described in the job listing. It didn't look like necessarily that exciting of a job, but they were saying that if you wanted to grind and hustle, you can make a ton of money. Well, what ended up happening is I took the job, I started doing the job, and it was so miserable. It basically involved cold calling businesses in person.
Yeah,
I had to go to a minimum. I had to go to a minimum of, I think it was either 40 or 60 businesses a day, collecting leads, basically trying to get the business cards of the decision makers at the business. And after a couple of weeks, I was like, there is no way. Like, this is so miserable. And, it's not even really giving up. It's just that, like, I don't care. Like, it's not worth making six figures if you dread every single day.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like you've had a similar situation like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, the same time you were working that job, I was working a pretty bad sales job. That was kind of like, I would get anxiety going into work because I knew that day I was going to make 100 cold calls to a bunch of people that were going to tell me.
Inside sales, but cold leads.
Yeah, cold leads. Sometimes, very rarely warm leads, but cold leads for a major company. So you would assume they'd be kind of warm when you kind of introduce yourself, but they weren't. Making 100 cold calls a day, basically asking people for money, essentially, right? I'm trying to sell them something that costs them a lot of money and doesn't always provide them actual value. Which that's a whole different conversation on products and stuff.
Yeah.
But the anxiety I would get from just like driving into work sometimes, just knowing what I'm going to have to do that day and how many people are going to tell me to like kill myself that day on the phone or tell me to like, shut up. And
might want to censor that word for.
I don't care. It's not monetized anyway.
Yeah.
But you get what I'm saying? Like just the awfulness of the job, even though there was people around me that were making like twice as much as me because they were getting a lot of commissions, it didn't really motivate me to to want to stay at that job. And we both ended up quitting our jobs around the same time.
Yeah, it was
probably
kind of
like a
funny.
week
It's like
or-
I quit one day, and I think you quit like 2 days after.
I was
I'm
like, dude,
yeah.
I was like,
We're
you're
like, you know what? We have no income. Neither of us have income, but
We'll
at least
figure
I
it
don't
out.
hate every day of my life.
yeah. You were
Like-
you're like, dude, I quit. And I was like, right? Like, quit. It makes sense to quit,
Yeah.
right? Like, okay, I'm going to do that too.
Yeah, it's like some of these jobs, it's like they even expect like a real human to do these jobs. Like, and actually the reality of it is that the people that I did know at the job, by the way, everyone that worked at this particular job, like everyone was super nice. So even the managers were nice. I mean, it's they didn't necessarily come up with the actual gig itself.
Yeah, it's not their fault.
Yes, it's not their fault. But I was going to say, though, it seems like the people that did actually produce the best results were the ones that were kind of desperate for income. Like I know one of the guys, like he had a young child. I don't know, maybe whether it was his wife or fiance, I don't even know, like girlfriend, who knows, right? But she like wasn't making anything. So it's like he literally had to make money for his family.
Yeah.
So, not only to
that's-
keep a roof over his head and keep him fed, but he had to keep other people fed. So I think that did kind of motivate him to, even though it was a miserable job, to put up with it. But in my situation, single guy, no one
debt.
depending on, no debt. Also, I had no student loan debt.
No kids.
Thankfully. No kids that at least I'm aware of. No, I don't have any. So yeah, basically no responsibilities other than taking care of myself. So I wasn't quite as desperate or vulnerable to needing to actually make this work. But in addition to that, like I said, it was just completely miserable. So
Yeah.
Life's too short to be miserable doing anything to make a living.
Yeah, and I have to echo that. I had the exact same experience in my job. The guy that was the most motivated and making probably like the most sales, his wife was a school teacher. He had just quit his job to go into sales, and his wife had just given birth to twins.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he already had a kid before that. So he had like 3 kids and a wife that's basically on maternity leave making no money.
Yeah.
So to him, it's like life or death. So it's like,
Yeah.
but like for me, I was like same situation. No
No
wife
I had
and kids,
money
no
saved
debt.
up. I could pay my rent.
Yeah,
for,
I would have been fine.
A decent amount of time, that's for sure.
And it came down to the exact same thing, which was like, life is too short to wake up every day just like, oh my God, another one. Like, I got to go to this place again. Like, this sucks.
And it wasn't even like it was miserable because it was boring. It was like miserable because it was just straight up miserable.
Yeah.
And actually, you could even argue for my situation of like
Dangerous.
Yeah, cold calling like at businesses in person. It was like kind of like low key dangerous because some of the areas they're having me go to like weren't the best areas. But to make matters worse, the businesses that they were telling me to go to really weren't businesses where like that many people would even go to, like an auto body shop, for example, or a junkyard. Like they sent me to go to a junkyard. Like they don't get people like basically
Walking
it's like
in.
if they see someone walk in their business, like their first instinct is like, are we getting robbed? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it wasn't like I was greeted with friendly faces or anything like that. So anyway, yeah, I mean, the safety part of it, that's a whole nother, obviously I'm sure if it probably isn't quite as dangerous as I'm making it sound because you'd probably hear about people,
Yeah.
getting
I would
into
say-
issues on a regular basis, but still it's just not like a good situation.
I
to
would
be
say
in.
it's hard to describe the feeling to people that haven't experienced it, but there's
Yeah.
like a mental dread to it, right? It's like it's like a little mini depression you kind of go through when you have to go to do your job. I think to like get to like the point of the video is, does it make sense for certain people to kind of suck it up and do it? Sure, if they have like kids to feed, like a
But honestly,
mortgage.
if they're having to
But if
do
you
a
can
job
avoid
that's
it-
miserable because they've got kids to feed, like obviously circumstances come up, so I'm not going to totally judge, but it's probably due to like
poor planning.
poor planning. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like one not I don't want to say mistake, like one thing that didn't go to plan leads to another thing that didn't go to plan, right?
It's like
so
bad
obviously
decision, bad
life
decision.
doesn't involve things going to plan. Like things rarely go to plan in life, but again, like it's like, well, yeah, I mean, basically don't put yourself in the situation where you have to take a job that you don't want to take just because you desperately need the money. That's really what it comes down to. Like,
I feel like money has, I don't know the best way to put this, but money only matters to a certain extent. And after like a certain amount, you kind of stop caring about how much it is and you care more about where it comes from.
yeah, like the quality, right?
Yeah, like you.
Yeah, like as a hypothetical, if someone's a millionaire, which I'm not, but sadly, yet, right? But, if someone's a millionaire and they, their rent is like $2,000 a month, like, no, they're not going to take a miserable job just for the sake of having a job.
Yeah.
They're going to have time to shop around for the right job, right? They have more leverage going into it. But if you're someone who needs money immediately, maybe
You
you're
have no
paycheck
leverage.
to paycheck, which, obviously
Most
a good
of the-
portion of people are at no fault of their
most
own.
of the population in America, at least.
Right.
Probably so
just-
in other countries.
Right. So, I mean, yeah, I guess this is kind of a tangent, but the point is like, yeah, as you have less and less leverage, you have to do more and more things you don't want to do.
So
like
really,
my
you
favorite
wanna-
job, for example, like I would say probably like my favorite job that I've ever had was probably working at Dairy Queen. And at that job, shout out to them, by the way. But when I worked at Dairy Queen, I was making, this is when minimum wage was lower, I was making $7.50 an hour. Damn. Now, obviously, I didn't have the types of bills that I have nowadays to pay, but I was excited to go to work. Like, I enjoyed the job. And again, it's not all about the money part of it. But again, I wasn't miserable having that job because I actually liked the work. But on the flip side, this job that I was telling you about, the salary was like $38,000, but then with all those amazing commissions, right, it could get you up to $80K or something like that.
Yeah, that's
but
how my job.
I despise the job. I despise the job. I would stay up late every night on my phone because I didn't want to go to bed because going to bed meant that the next day would happen. So again, it's not worth it.
And I can echo that too. My job was 35,000 base, but there's people making like 60 to 100 plus, but it was the same thing.
Well, at one point when you were way younger, you worked at a convenience store.
Yeah, in high school.
That was better than your corporate job, right?
Yeah, that was I was just happy to make any money at that point. But it's like you were saying, I worked a part-time job when I was doing my certificate before my master's. I worked at Chase part-time. The money was actually it was like 16 something an hour in Washington. So it's like a little different. But I liked that job because one, I knew I was only working 4 hours a day because I was part-time. Two, all my coworkers were awesome and the work was easy.
That makes a difference.
So it was actually fun to go in because I'm literally hanging out with like
people you like.
Yeah, my friend Ashley and then my friend Eddie. We're just hanging out. They had to be there all day, obviously, because they worked full time. But I was only there for 4 hours, kind of clicking some buttons, depositing some money, just shooting the breeze, no pun intended. And it was fun. Versus like when I've been making way more money and I hate everybody at my job and I hate the task. It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
So I guess the moral of the story is you wanna have leverage. You wanna put yourself in a position where you can leverage your time to make money that you want to make, because making money how you want to make it is more than making as much money as you can make. I think a lot of younger people especially fall into the trap of they want to do whatever gets them like the highest digit salary versus realizing like how much time of their life that they're giving up. Like you can't get that time back. Like that time runs out.
Yeah, and another issue, which I kind of already implied, but with having a job that you don't like, and especially one that you despise, it's not sustainable.
Yeah, you get tired of it and burn out.
Like the misery of the job, it's gonna be negatively impactful on your health, I'm sure, whether mentally or physically. So it's not like, I
have a great story for that. So in my sales job that we were talking about, the guy that trained the new starting class of salespeople, he said, some of you guys like won't make a lot of money. Some of you will be really good at this. He's like, some of you guys are going to like be out of here in like 2 months. Like, let's be real. Then he said, some of you will start to make good money. He's like, the biggest piece of advice I can give you is get out of the game as soon as you can. And people are like, well, if I'm making all this money, like all I'm doing is sitting there dialing numbers and making $100,000 or whatever, why would I want to quit? And he's like, trust me. He's like, I've been doing this for like decades. You can't play that game for that long. Like you burn out, you get like you fall off,
Sure.
Try to move into a management position as soon as you can. Because like, and he kind of echoing what we were saying. It's like not
Dude,
all money is good money. Like
I was so jealous of the managers when I was like, what do you do all day? Like nothing.
Like I pull reports and make sure you get your sales.
Yeah.
And I take a part of your commission.
They helped me close the deal, right? Yeah. After I pretty much already
closed it.
After they already pretty much wanted, like the buyer wanted, the customer wanted to already close the deal. Then the manager comes in.
It closes it to get their commission.
Well, honestly, like at least for my experience, obviously it's different from company to company. And this is with a Fortune 500 company, by the way. But
mine too, by the way.
They didn't even take the time to teach me how to close the deals because that is kind of where the manager came in. So I really like their whole thing was like they sent me out on the field just to do all the dirty work, really. And then when it comes to actually closing the deal, they would bring in the more seasoned salespeople. Yeah. So I really got, it was really just not good.
My job, they gave us training for about 3 weeks, better. Which was nice because I feel like I picked up an actual skill from being there. Yeah. But
the only skill I picked up was knowing what I don't like to do.
Yeah. Honestly, that's worth more sometimes.
It is worth a lot. That's true.
But as far as doing it for money, that's the moral of the video is just put yourself in a position where you don't have to do things just for the money because not all money is equal. You'll appreciate your life. If you can work from home and do whatever you want to, and you're making $46K a year.
This is just like us whining about our bad experiences.
Like, I was like halfway through, I'm like, let me try to clean up the video. Like, what's the point of this
We're
video?
just complaining about our L's that we took in the past. That's okay though. It's
halfway in, I'm like, let me make this like have a point, but there's no point.
It's like the saddest stories.
Yeah. But you know what? Though. But you know what? I wish somebody had told me this stuff back then, like an uncle or something, or like an older brother would have told me.
Sure.
Like, hey, dude, me and my friend, we used to do this, and.
But sometimes you do have to actually make the mistakes yourself to learn.
Yeah, like I can't. I think there's still gonna be people that watch this and be like, how bad can a job be? Like it's. No, you trust me, you have to feel the stress. The night before you go to bed, it's awful. You wake up in the morning, it's awful. You're driving to work, trying to pump yourself up, and you feel terrible. And in these jobs, you probably had the same experience. When I quit, nobody was surprised. Everybody was like, oh, there's another one.
Yeah.
All right, dude, so this is what you're gonna go fill this out, go here, we'll pay you in 2 weeks. It's nice meeting you. It's like they know because they're like these jobs the people kind of drop like flies. Like it's like
I dropped like a fly. That's for sure.
Yeah, I got clapped.
I just said I was sick and I just never came back.
I was like, I can't do this anymore. And the guy was like,
it was fine anyway. They didn't want me for another 2 weeks anyway, so it didn't really. It was. I didn't go out sad or anything. Kind of.
No, you went out sad. Yeah,
right.
We both went out sad.
But anyway, maybe one takeaway is that if you do want to do sales, really try to find a sales job where you get warm leads, because typically if it's a warm lead, you're not gonna be getting people screaming at you on the phone or like. Or even worse.
Which, trust me, that wears on your psyche. Like just hearing if people are yelling at you all day, even if you don't take it personally, eventually you're just like, what? I don't need to sit through this.
Yeah, and honestly,
I can go dig ditches.
It's in a sense, obviously every human should treat other humans with, kindness, but I don't blame some of these people. Like any of the sales stuff that I get, like when it's just a bunch of BS, like it is annoying.
I never blamed them. Like there's some people I would look
if I had a brick and mortar, like if I had a bit I have a business, but like if I was in like an office complex and I had people knocking on my door throughout the day trying to sell me garbage that I could easily buy on my own if I thought I needed it, like it is annoying.
Yeah. No, I don't blame them.
I think that's part of the reason why I felt like crap from these people when they were like rejecting me and stuff.
Me too.
It was because I already knew, like going into it, I was like, yeah,
it's guilt, right?
Yeah, it's guilty because I do know.
You're bugging them. Yeah. No,
now the sales managers, they would always say, no. You're helping them. You're helping them.
You're bringing them
opportunity. They don't know what they need. You're helping them. It's like, nah, like, no, they're trying to get their work done throughout the day and I'm just knocking on their door, bugging them.
Yeah.
So at least, again, if it's a warm lead, that already means that the person was already interested to start with.
Yeah. Especially if they're like, warm and inbound, like they're calling you.
Yeah.
That's a whole different thing.
Exactly.
But no,
So,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Like I get cold calls all the time and it does piss me off. And
yeah.
I try to still be nice to them because I've been in that position, obviously, on the other side of the phone. But yeah, I felt the same guilt when I was calling people, which was like, if they wanted this, they could literally go online and apply for it, and it would come to their house for instantly. They don't need me to convince them that they need this.
Yeah.
I know this is a busy business owner that's literally probably wondering, one, how did I get a cell phone number? And I've seen like, sometimes I would see in the CRM, like Salesforce, it's like, yo, 8 guys have called this person and he told them all to like F off.
I know.
And then I talked to my manager. I'm like, you want me to just like delete this lead or whatever? And he'd
No.
be like, no, maybe they changed their mind.
You know what they say? They're like, no. It's the ones that reject you the most. They're the best opportunity because they reject everybody. So like, it's the ones that are nice. They're the ones that are the bad opportunity because they waste your time.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, sure, fine. But like, it's still terrible.
Dude, I got one guy. He was literally screaming. He was like, stop calling me.
Some Mario Judah style screaming, huh?
Yeah. I was like, hey sir, this is such and such from such and such on a recorded line. He'd be like, stop calling me.
Oh, dude, that was probably
So
the cringiest
funny.
part of what you had to do is that every time you would call them, it wasn't just like a phone call. You're like, yeah, I'm calling you on a recorded line. It's like already sketchy. Like,
yeah,
I know that was the law, but it's already super sketchy when like you're calling.
Dude,
like the first thing you say is like, you're being recorded right now.
And it's funny because some people, some of the people that were actually better, they would just try to sneak it in. They'd be like, "Hey, let's do it on a recorded line." Like they would like, because so they didn't break the law.
Yeah.
But it was like they would try to sneak it in
do.
to not. Yeah. But it was funny because it's like I don't think it ever worked. Like
probably not.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But, all right, let's wrap this video up.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to conclude? Or?
No, I think the point is just try your best not to get yourself in situations where you have no leverage. Don't try to go after a job out of desperation. Obviously, the last, I'm sure this year and especially last year, obviously a lot of people have had to do a lot of things that they don't want to do just to make ends meet and survive. I totally understand that and I respect that. But obviously at the end of the day, like I think we all want to do our best to not have to fall into those circumstances. So That's my 2 cents on it.
If you can, please give yourself leverage so you don't have to deal with these kind of jobs. All money isn't created equal. Some things are not worth trading your peace of mind, basically.
Yeah.
And your peace of mind.
And also, when these companies create these different jobs, they don't necessarily just create these jobs. Like obviously they want to create jobs that like they don't want turnover, but
they're open
for certain like for certain
it's
jobs,
normal
like
in sales especially.
Yeah, like
even in accounting, we have
like they don't always act in good
high.
faith when they create these jobs. Like some of these jobs are just so miserable and so boring. Obviously, like I don't think there's any job unless your physical health was sacrificed from it. But I don't think there's really any job where like they're gonna have you take the job and like you end up scarred for life out of it. But again, like I don't think when they're creating jobs or creating positions, their first priority is not to make it a fun job.
Yeah.
That might be
they have
priority.
Results they need to get.
Yeah, they have results they need to get. They have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders, and they're going to create jobs that make that a reality. Mm-hmm. So don't just assume that every job listing that you see is very innocent, wanting you to have your dream job, because that's not typically always the case.
They probably don't care about you.
No.
All right, thank you for watching. I'm Shawn CPA. This is Kevin Breeze.
Yep.
Comment if you've actually had this experience before. Like the video.
I feel like we all have.
Yeah. Thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell notification, all that stuff. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Take care, everybody.
I like Shawn.